And let's finish the 10th chapter of Mary Poppins, which is called Full Moon. Michael and Jane are at the zoo for Mary Poppins' birthday, which happens on a full moon, which means that all of the animals are in attendance, led by the Hamadryad, who is just explaining to Jane and Michael how all things are connected. "But how can a tree be a stone? A bird is not me. Jane is not a tiger," said Michael stoutly. "You think not," said the Hamadryad's hissing voice. "Look." He nodded his head toward the moving mass of creatures before them. Birds and animals were now swaying together, closely encircling Mary Poppins, who was rocking lightly from side to side. Backwards and forwards went the swaying crowd, keeping time together, swinging like the pendulum of a clock. Even the trees were bending and lifting gently, and the moon seemed to be rocking in the sky as a ship rocks on the sea. "Bird and beast and stone, we are all one," murmured the Hamadryad, softly folding his hood about him as he himself swayed between the children. "Child and serpent, star and stone, all one." The hissing voice grew softer. The cries of the swaying animals dwindled and became fainter. Jane and Michael, as they listened, felt themselves gently rocking too, or as if they were being rocked. Soft, shaded light fell on their faces. Asleep and dreaming, both of them, said a whispering voice. Was it the voice of the Hamadryad, or their mother's voice as she tucked them in on her usual nightly round of the nursery? "Good." Was that the brown bear gruffly speaking, or Mr. Banks? Jane and Michael, rocking and swaying, could not tell. "I had such a strange dream last night," said Jane as she sprinkled sugar over her porridge at breakfast. "I dreamt we were at the zoo, and it was Mary Poppins' birthday, and instead of animals in cages, there were human beings, and all the animals were outside." "Why, that's my dream! I dreamed that too," said Michael, looking very surprised. "We can't both have dreamed the same thing," said Jane. "Are you sure? Do you remember the lion who curled his mane, and the seal who wanted us to dive for orange peel?" said Michael. "Of course I do. And the babies inside the cage, and the penguin who couldn't find a rhyme, and the Hamadryad." "Then it couldn't have been a dream at all," said Jane emphatically. "It must have been true. And if it was—" she looked curiously at Mary Poppins, who was boiling the milk. "Mary Poppins," she said, "could Michael and I have dreamed the same thing? Or could Michael and I have dreamed the same dream?" "You and your dreams," said Mary Poppins, sniffing. "Eat your porridge, please, if you will. Or you will have no buttered toast." But Jane would not be put off. She had to know. "Mary Poppins," she said, looking very hard at her, "were you at the zoo last night?" Mary Poppins' mouth opened widely. "At the zoo? Me at the zoo at night? Me? A quiet, orderly person who knows what is what, and what isn't?" "But were you?" Jane persisted. "Certainly not. The idea," said Mary Poppins. "And I'll thank you to eat up your porridge and no nonsense." Jane poured out her milk. "Then it must have been a dream," she said, "after all." But Michael was staring open-mouthed at Mary Poppins, who was now making toast in the fire. "Jane," he said in a shrill whisper. "Jane, look!" He pointed, and Jane, too, saw what he was looking at. Round her waist, Mary Poppins was wearing a belt made of golden, scaly snakeskin, and on it was written, in curving, snaky writing, "A present from the zoo." And that's the end of Chapter 10.